Yes, sir. Good evening, students. 1 minute. Yeah, sorry. Good evening, students. Welcome back to the problem solving session. Yesterday, we had done some theoretical and some practical questions. Around 16 questions we had solved. So we will try to solve some more questions today. So there are some questions. Before I take up some questions, let me think of this. So it is my general query about other law session. Negotiable instrument part is not completed by Mr. Sri Shubham Singhal. Ms. Pavitra, for any queries on other subjects, you could get in touch with the Board of Studies. I will not be able to communicate this to them. So please talk to the Board of Studies team. You have a number in the Board of Studies website. You also have an email ID. Please talk to them and please inform for any queries what you have so that they will take it up. Okay. So no particular subject query, it's a general query. So anything you have, any queries, you need to raise your voice. That's right. So you please raise your concerns to the Board of Studies team. They will take it up at their level. So are you all ready for the question answer session for this evening? Are we ready? Yes, great. So let's start this question. This question is on valuation. Shri Krishna Private Limited, a registered dealer, furnishes the following information relating to goods sold by it to Shri Balram Private Limited in the course of intrastate. The price of the goods is 1 lakh, municipal tax is 2000. This is similar to what we have done yesterday, so you should be able to solve this very quickly. Akash Neil is already got the answers really fast. I want everybody to be fast. Let us see what is the answer. Interesting question was yesterday. Yes, we'll find some interesting questions today too. So the price of the goods of this goods what is sold is 1 lakh, municipal tax is 2000, inspection charges is 15,000, subsidies received from Sri Ram Trust as the product is going to be used by Blind Association. So is getting a subsidy of 50,000 rupees. Then late fees for delayed payment is 1,000 rupees. Though Sri Balram Private Limited made late payment, but these charges are waived by Sri Krishna Private Limited. Okay. Then Sri Balram Private Limited paid to Radhe Private Limited on behalf of Krishna Private Limited weighment charges of 2,000 rupees. So with these questions, what is the question? Again, question is missing. Question is, of course, determine the value. Determine the value of supply. Okay. All the settings was then, but this is gone again. No problem. Let's do the setting now. Okay. Price of the goods, 1 lakh. Okay, multiple answers. Now this is interesting. Since you know the steps, I've got three answers. One says 1,70,000, one says 1,69,000, and another says 1,18,000. So much of variation. One is saying 1,18,000 and another is 170. So let us see what is the mistake you have done. I should have expected correct answers, everybody here, but still there are some improvements which is required. What is that? So first is price of the goods. What is the price of the goods? 1 lakh rupees, right? Okay. No. Yeah. Price of the goods is 1 lakh rupees. Then will you add the municipal taxes? Yes, any taxes other than GST has to be added. So we will add the municipal taxes. Then inspection charges. Will we add the inspection charges? Yes, inspection charges is 15,000 rupees. Okay. Then subsidy received from Sri Ram Trust. This should be added or no? Wow. One more question is 1,17,000. So much of variation. Good. So main question is on subsidy received. Should we add? Yes, this is received, which is in relation to the product, and it is not received from the central government or the state government. So we have to add this. So we will add this subsidy. Everybody has added that. Late fees, should we add or not add? This is important. Late fees for delayed payment. Though Sri Balram Private Limited made late payment, but these charges are waived by Sri Krishna Private Limited. So if they have waived it, then we should not add it. Few people have added it. So, okay. So few people have added the late fees, but the late fees is waived off. So we will not add the late fees. Then payment charges. Sri Balram Private Limited, that is the buyer, has paid directly to the payment agency on behalf of the supplier. So will this be added? Yes, this has to be added. So we will add this. So what is this reference? What I'm saying is just a reference for you to, but this is not necessary that you should remember the reference number. It's just for a reference here. Section 15 says that municipal taxes has to be added. So we will add it. So this is the total payment charges and other things which comes in here. So what is the value of taxable supply? The value of taxable supply is 1,69,000. Okay, so 1,69,000 is the correct answer. What are the questions you have? This subsidy should be added. Yes. Late fees not added because not received by the supplier. Correct, Ms. Rekha. Since it is not received by the supplier and he's waived it off, we will not add. So the value of taxable supply is 1,69,000. Clear? Question number 18. Any doubts till now? Kartik Gupta, have you written it now? Clear, no doubts. Late fees, yes, late fees is waived out, Mr. Sushil, so we will not add it. Okay. So let's get into question number 18 now. Mehra Sons, a registered supplier, is a wholesale supplier of ready-made garments located in Bandra, Mumbai. On 5th September 2020, Subhadra, owner of Aura Boutique located in Dadar, Mumbai, approached Mehra Sons for supply of a consignment of customized dresses for ladies and kids. Subhadra hands over the check for payment on the same day. Okay, on 5th September is when she hands over the check. The said payment is entered in the accounts on 20th September and the amount is credited in the bank account on 21st September 2020. Now, Mehra Sons gets the consignment ready by 2nd December and informs Subhadra about the same. Then the invoice was for the consignment was issued the next day, that is 3rd December. Due to some reasons, the receiver Subhadra could not collect the consignment immediately. So she collects the consignment on 18th December 2020. you are required to determine the time of supply of the ready-made garments supplied by Mehra Sons to Subhadra, elaborating the relevant provisions. So here it is a kind of theoretical and practical questions. You have to write the theory saying what is the time of supply, and then based on your theory, you have to specify the date on which what is the time of supply for this transaction. Waiting for answers. I have got two answers saying that I will not tell what they have said, but I need more answers so that you are not influenced by the answers what have been sent. So many dates and it's all in a sentence, so it is more confusing. So some answers what I've got is 20th September. Some answer is 5th September. Okay. I will not tell whether it is right or wrong. I need more answers so that I will get to know. Oh, somebody is saying it is 21st September. Okay. So you have not brushed through the provisions of time of supply. Time and place of supply is very important because if you miss out that chapter, it will not be a single question. It could be a part of a bigger question. So time of supply and value of supply is really important. Even though it is a small chapter, please don't ignore it. Understand and read through the time of supply chapter very thoroughly. Yes, Ms. Rekha, you have reproduced the provisions. That's good. But tell me what is the time of supply in this case? You will have to reproduce the provision. That's right. After reproducing the provisions, you have to determine what is the relevant date in the given case study. 3rd December. Oh, okay. Finally, Karthik Gupta, you have given the correct answer. Nice. Menka Kumari, your answer is also right. Raghavan, you have reproduced the provision of service or date of receipt. So that is for service. Please read the question carefully and tell me whether this is supply of goods or supply of services. That is the crux of this question. Yeah, a lot of confusions. So let's get into the answer. Time of supply of goods is the earliest of these two dates. Which of these two dates? Date of issue of invoice. Date of issue of invoice or the last date on which invoice is required to be issued, or the date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. But we know as a matter of fact that notification number 66 of 2017, condition of point B has been relaxed. So time of supply will be the date of issue of invoice by the supplier or the due date of issue of the supplier or the due date of issuance of the invoice in case invoice is not issued on time. Okay, when should invoice be issued? That we know the provisions where the goods are movable, then on the date of dispatch. If it is not movable, then on the apportionment of the goods. But in this case, we know that this is a supplier of ready-made garments, which is movable goods, right? So invoice has to be issued before or at the time of movement, correct? So when are the goods moved, that will determine. Now invoice we have seen here, as he's kept the consignment ready. Now invoice for the consignment is issued on 3rd December. However, the movement did not happen immediately, but the she collects the goods on 18 December. So he can issue the invoice on the 18 December or anytime before it. So since the Mehrasans had kept the goods ready, he was ready to dispatch it on the 3rd December. So he can raise the invoice on 3rd December. So the time of supply is the time of issue of invoice, which is 3rd December, right? So date of invoice in this case is the time when the time of supply. So 3rd December 2020 is the invoice which is to be issued. Okay, and not 18 December, even though the goods are still with me. Once I've raised the invoice and goods are not dispatched, the goods are with me, but still I have raised the invoice. That is the time of supply. So the correct answer is 3rd December. Okay. Sneha Sharma, 2nd December. No, it is not 2nd December. It is 3rd December. He gets the consignment ready. But when does he raise the invoice? That is important. He raises the invoice on 3rd December. Correct. Because in case of Menaka Kumari, in case of goods, time of supply when goods is dispatched. Before the goods are dispatched, he can raise the invoice any point of time. Since he has raised the invoice well before the dispatch, that will the invoice is raised before the dispatch date. So invoice date will be the time of supply. So this is supply of goods, not services. So be careful when you're asked, when the question is asked on supply of goods, then the time of supply will be issue of invoice only and not receipt of payment, because for supply of goods, we know that receipt of payment is relaxed. Clear? Question number 19. Can we go to question number 19? But it is entered in the books on 20th September itself, sir. Correct, madam. It is entered on the 20th September what? Of the payment. So they have received the payment on 20th September, but not as the sale. So they will record what? They will record the receipt. Correct? They have recorded the receipt. The said payment is entered in the accounts. What have they said? They said payment is entered in the accounts on 20th September and the amount is credited in the bank on 21st September. So had it been services, what you are saying is correct. Receipt or invoice, whichever is earlier. But in case of goods, it is the issue of goods and receipt of payment is not to be considered. Again, I will reiterate this notification number. Refer this notification number 66 of 2017 for supply of goods. It is not to be considered. Date of issue of invoice or the due date on which invoice has to be raised, the earliest of the two is to be considered. Clear? Good. So question number 19. Kabira Industries Limited engaged the services of a transporter for road transport of a consignment on 7th June and made advance payment for the transport on the same date, that is 7th June. However, the consignment could not be sent immediately on account of strike in a factory and was instead sent on 20th July. Invoice was received from the transporter on 22nd July. What is the time of supply of the transporter's invoice? Okay, they're not asking of Kabira Industries invoice to the customer. They're asking what is the time of supply of the transporter's service. What do you think? Ajay Khetan, please reconsider your answer. Neha Sharma, 20th June, maybe 20th July. Okay. You cannot give maybe answers in your exam. You will have only correct answer or wrong answer. Hmm. So there's a lot of confusion between 7th June on 20th July. So let us see which one is the correct one here. As per section 13.3, time of supply of service taxable under reverse charge, GTA, right? We're taking the services of a goods transport agency. So what time of supply we'll have to consider? What is the time of supply for services under reverse charge? We'll have to consider. In case of time of supply of service taxable under reverse charge is the earlier of the two dates. Which two dates? Date after 60 days from the date of invoice. 60 days from the date of invoice. What is the date of invoice in our case? Invoice was received on 20th July, but was the consignment was sent on 20th July. So 60 days from the date of service, date of provision of service, or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Okay. So how did I take 20th September? 60 days from the date of provision of service, that is 20th July, say 60 days, which comes to 20th September, or date of payment. Okay. Not date of provision of service, date of invoice, that is 60 days from the date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. In this case, date of payment precedes the date immediately after 60 days from the invoice date. Hence, the date of payment will be treated as the time of supply. Here, so 7th June is the correct answer, but how do you arrive at the 7th June? By doing a comparison between 60 days from the date of invoice. So just if you write 7th June, you will not get the full marks. You'll have to mention the comparison so that the examiner will know that you know the provisions. The provision says within, you have to compare that 60 days from the date of invoice or the date of payment, whichever is earlier. Okay, so you have to compare both, then you have to give your answer. Great. So everybody is given a correct answer. Now I will leave you with few questions and we'll take a break early because I have fasting. I'll have to finish off my food before the sunset. So we'll take an early break, but I will leave you with these two questions on question number 20 and 21. So you could go through these questions, or it will be better that I will give you a practical question so that you can work out the sum. Yeah, I have small questions. This is a lengthier questions, but this is again on exemptions. I think 25th question we have covered. Yeah, this is a lengthier question to some extent. Yeah, this question you can answer. Question number 26. Please note down and answer your questions. And I'll come back in. We'll take a extended break of 15 minutes today. I'll see you back in. Now it is 6:25. I'll catch you back by 6:40. In this meantime, you can answer this question number 26. हाँ सर, अभी ब्रेक हो जाएगा 15 minutes. ओके. ये स्क्रीन डिस्प्ले हो सकता है क्या? हाँ, स्क्रीन को ऐसे रहने दीजिए. Okay. Good. Thank you again. So a lot of students have worked out the question for this. Okay, so a lot of people giving varied answer. There is excess ITC of 2,400, inward supply A 5,400. Oops, lot of confusions here. Okay, so let us understand, read through this question. A dealer in Ludhiana furnishes the following details of purchase and sales. What has he sold? He has purchased from local market 50,400 inclusive of GST. And second, product B is also inclusive of IGST. Why they have mentioned IGST? Because he's purchased from Jaipur, which is outside the state. So interstate purchase, IGST is charged by the supplier at 18%. And he sold products A and B. Sales made within the state of B is 35,000. Above sales amount is exclusive of GST. Compute the net CGST, SGST, and IGST and input tax credit, if any, for the month of July 2021. So question number 26. So 13, 19 we completed. We'll straight away go to question number 26. Okay. We are doing this transaction for Vivita and Company, computation of GST liability. Okay. First is interstate sales, because he is, first we'll go with sales, then with purchases. Interstate sales, dealer of Calcutta from Ludhiana to Calcutta, he's making interstate sales. What is he making sale of? Goods A, 40,000, which is at the rate of 12%. How do I know the rate? Because good A he purchased from a local market. If he's selling that, then it will also be at the same rate. So they have not given specifically the rate of goods A and B. At the selling end, at the buying end, if it is there, then that will be at the selling end also. So same rate we'll have to apply, 40,000 into 12%, because this is exclusive of GST and this is an interstate sale. So CGST and SGST won't come. IGST will come at the rate of 12%. 40,000 into 12% is 4,800. Then goods B, 25,000, and the rate is at 18%. He purchased at 18%. So on the sale also it is at 18%. 25,000 into 18% makes it as 4,500. Then intra-state sale, what is he selling within the state? Only goods B for value of 35,000. So 35,000 into 9% makes it as 3,150. 3,150 CGST, 3,150 SGST. Clear? So what is this total output? Total output is CGST 3,150, SGST 3,150, and IGST of 9,300. So this is his output tax. What have they asked? Compute the net CGST, SGST, and IGST liability and input tax credit, if any. Okay, so we have to calculate the net GST. So this is our output GST. And then let us calculate the ITC. ITC of IGST is how much? Moment. How much is the IGST, ITC I have? So we have to have a separate note. of the ITC what is available. Now, that note is here it is. ITC. So we'll calculate the ITC over here on goods A. Okay, goods A 50,400 is inclusive of 12% in, because here they have mentioned goods A purchased from local market including GST at 12%, right? So 50,400 divided by 112 into 12, okay, which makes it as how much? 2,700 each from local market they purchased. So it is CGST and SGST. So 50,400 divided by 112 into 12 will give you the total tax. Then you split off half as CGST and half as SGST, right? So 2,700 CGST, 2,700 SGST. Then goods B. Goods B is purchased from Jaipur. So 82,600 is inclusive of IGST at 18%. So divided by 118 into 18 will give you the IGST input credit. Okay. Then how much is your total credit? Total input credit is 2,700, 2,700 and 12,600. So this is your total credit. Now, how will you utilize this? First, we'll pay IGST, correct? So IGST credit we have, we will utilize for payment of IGST. How much is my IGST liability? 9,300. So I will use the input tax credit completely to pay the IGST. Fine. How much is the balance credit which I have? I have balance utilization of the 12,600. If 9,300 goes, you're left with balance 3,300. In this 3,300, I will utilize half for IGST and half for CGST and half for SGST. Okay, so 3,300 is my balance. Sorry, 3,300 is my balance. I'm utilizing half for CGST and half for SGST. Okay, so out this 9,300 is completely exhausted. Balance, I will utilize 1,650 of the IGST credit I will take and pay CGST and pay SGST. How much is the balance tax payable? 1,500. Okay. Now of this 1,500 payable, how much I have pay? How much I have to pay? I have to pay out of 3,150, 1,650 I have utilized, 1,500 payable. So CGST I will utilize for payment of CGST. Okay. So 1,500 I've utilized CGST. Then SGST also I have balance of 2,700. And how much do I need? I need again 1,500 there. Correct. So I will utilize 1,500 there as well. ITC of SGST is 1,500. So what is the total ITC utilized? 3,150. I've utilized IGST of 1,650 and CGST of 1,500. Same with SGST and 9,300 of the SGST. So this is the input tax credit what I have. Now what is the balance of ITC? Balance of ITC is total 2,700 I had, 1,500 I've utilized, balance is 1,200 for CGST and SGST. IGST balance is 0 because fully I have utilized. Okay, so I saw one person giving me this answer correctly. IGST, ITC available 2,400. No. No, many of you are saying 4,200 of IGST balance. It is not right. This is the way how you utilize the GST input tax credit. ITC has to be exhausted completely before you can utilize CGST and SGST. So in few people, what they have done is you have utilized IGST, ITC only for payment of IGST output, and they have not utilized for CGST and SGST, which is incorrect. You have to exhaust IGST completely, then move to CGST and SGST credit. Kartik Gupta, your answer is correct. Ms. Rekha, please see what have you made mistake over here. So, but you said if no rate is given, then we assume 18%. Yes, if no rate is given, then you assume 18%. But in this case, they have given the rate, right? For goods A, when I purchased, it is at 12%. So rate is given for purchase. So when the rate is not given, then you apply 18%, which is right. But in this case, they have given the rate for the purchase of the goods. When I purchase something at 12%, GST is a structure wherein unless you do any new product comes different product comes in, then the rate may be different. But in this case, the goods name is same, goods A and goods A over here. So when I bought it at 12%, I will also sell it at the same rate. So it is the same rate itself. Net MTLB less of ITC होता है सर, प्लीज कंफर्म. कार्तिक गुप्ता, नेट का मतलब हाँ लेस ऑफ आईटीसी. यस, नेट इज ग्रॉस माइनस आईटीसी, उसको नेट बोलते हैं. Sir, for goods A sale, we should take 18% as interstate. Sale of goods A, we have to take 18%. No, for goods A, we have to take 12% itself. In case of interstate supply, we calculate only IGST and not CGST, SGST, IGST. Yes, Ms. Pooja, when it is an interstate sale, only IGST. When it is an intrastate sale, then you take CGST and SGST. Okay, so when it is an interstate sale, you will take only IGST. Ms. Shreya, what is your question? GST on purchase of GST on goods A 2700. Oh, Ms. Shreya Shah, do you have any particular question? I didn't understand your workings. Are you saying that there is a different way which you have worked out? So, Ms. Rekha, while we have purchased goods B, IGST is 18%. So why you have taken 12%? Goods B, when we purchase, it is 18%. Yes. And when we sold, it is 18%. And when we purchase also, it is 18%. Both the places we have taken 18%, Ms. Pooja, not 12%. Only for goods A, we have taken 12% and not for goods B. Sir, but SGST credit can be utilized only after CGST is exhausted for IGST liability. No, no, Raghavan. CGST and SGST are two separate credits. So CGST credit can be utilized. No, CGST credit can be utilized after IGST is being utilized, not CGST. CGST and SGST do not get interchanged. They cannot be claimed, or one is not dependent on the other. Both are dependent on IGST. So first utilize IGST completely, then utilize the CGST and SGST respectively. So we can utilize IGST, ITC in any proportion. Right. You can utilize IGST, ITC in any proportion, not 50-50. But in this case, we had the same credit and we didn't have opening balance. So we have utilized it equally. But if you have opening ITC and you have one, say CGST less balance and IGST is more balanced, then you will utilize more of that. It could be in any proportion, not necessarily 50-50. Ms. Shreya Shah, please let me know if you have any queries here. Clear? So here we are understood one thing, that we know what is the sale, what is the purchase, but how we utilize the credit is very important. Okay. Any doubts in this question? Okay, so no questions on this question. That is clear. But somebody had a question in our previous point on question number 19. Invoice is issued on 22nd July, so how 20th September? So the 60 days is from the date of invoice. The invoice is not issued on 22nd July. Please read this question again, question number 19. Now to be very careful with the dates. Consignment here, read the question again. Kabir Industries engaged the services of a transporter for road transport of a consignment on 7th June and made advance payment for the transport on the same day. He made the payment on the same day. However, consignment could not be sent immediately on account of strike and instead was sent on 20th July. Now, invoice was received from the transporter on 22nd July. But when did the GTA person raise an invoice? He will raise an invoice when he starts shipping. So he'll give a consignment note on when he raises it. So he raises it. The consignment is getting shipped on 20th July. So he will also raise an invoice on 20th July itself. So there is no specific mention in this question on the date of invoice, but it is always important to note that a GTA will raise a invoice or he will raise a consignment note once he starts the consignment. So he started the consignment, he sent it on 20th July, so he will raise it on 20th July. So that is the invoice date which we have to consider. So 20th July, from 20th July, 60 days makes it as 20th September. Okay, clear, Ms. Rekha now? Ms. Pooja, on question number 26, once we go through other questions again, okay, I can take up question number 26 again. What you didn't understand on the ITC. So total ITC is whatever we purchase, we have the ITC, correct? We have purchased goods A, we have purchased goods B. So this is the ITC what we have, correct? So this is my ITC. Now I have to utilize this ITC. How will I utilize this ITC? First, I will utilize my IGST. IGST can be utilized for IGST payment. So out of 12,600, what is my IGST liability? 9,300. So I will reduce 9,300 here, right? Now from 12,600, how much is gone? 12,600 minus 9,300 is 3,300. Now this 3,300 you will utilize for CGST and SGST. It could be in any proportion, but I have taken as CGST equal, SGST equal, right? So once I've done that, then this is my ITSC of IGST is completely fulfilled. 12,600 I had credit and 12,600 I've utilized. Then what I have to pay? I have to pay CGST. How much should I pay? My liability is your 3,150. Out of 3,150, 1,650 ye wala I have utilized. Correct? Once I've utilized that, how much I have to pay balance? 1,500. How will I pay that 1,500? From the CGST credit. So from the CGST credit, take this 2,700 may say 1,500 you take it off. So 1,500 is totally what is utilized from the CGST, right? So how much balance you had? 2,700 of CGST. You have utilized 1,500. Balance is 1,200. Similarly with SGST also, 2,700 you have the balance. How much you have to pay? 1,500. Pay 1,500. Balance is 1,200. Clear? Okay, great, Ms. Shreya. You also understood this question very well. Okay, let's get going with question number 17, 18, 19 is over. Question number 20. Yeah, read through this question. Classic Textile Limited purchased Okay. Classic Textiles Limited purchased a needle detecting machine on 6th July 2017 from Balaji Engineering Works, paying GST at 18% on the same. It availed the input tax credit of the GST paid on the machine and started using it for manufacture of goods. Okay. So This company purchased a needle detecting machine from Balaji Engineering Works for 10 lakhs, paying GST at 18% on the same. So this 10 lakhs is excluding GST, right? Now it availed the input tax credit of the GST paid on the machine and started using it for manufacturing of the goods. The machine was sold on 18th October 2018 for 6 lakhs, excluding GST, a second-hand machine to AB Private Limited. The GST rate on the supply of the machine is 18%. Compute the amount payable by Classic Textiles Limited in accordance with statutory GST provisions on the sale of second-hand machine. So in ITC provisions, this discussion would have happened as to what is the GST payable on sale of second-hand machine, because this is part of section 18 itself. It is not part of rule 42 or rule 43. This is part of section 18 itself. Okay, so part of section 18. So we have to calculate how much is the GST payable. So the machine is sold at 6 lakhs. No, on that pay GST at 18%. Simple. What is the question? No. When you sell a machinery which is used, then it is not so simple that you pay GST on the output at 18%. You have to do a comparison. That comparison is what is highlighted in this. Have this been discussed in ITC chapter? Have you dealt with this? Come on, students, please tell me. Have you dealt with this in section 18? No rule 42, rule 43. Yes, this is not rule 42 and 43. We are not dealing with rule 42 and 43. We are dealing with section 18. Yeah, so section 18, done capital goods, remaining ITC. Yes, you have done this. So then it's a good thing that we can apply this now. So how do we answer this? Let's work this out together. Even though rule 42, 43 is not there, this will not discuss on rule 42, 43. Second, 21st question is on rule 42, 43, but we will discuss that separately to understand the provisions. Now, Classic Textiles Limited purchased a needle detecting machine. First is input tax credit, what has been claimed. What is the input tax credit taken on the machine? I had purchased for 10 lakhs and I've claimed 18% GST on that. So 18 lakhs is the GST what I've claimed there. Okay. Now I have to see what is the output tax payable. Output tax payable will be the GST on the transaction value, which is 6 lakhs into the GST rate, or input tax credit claimed at the time of purchase less depreciation kind of a thing. So even GST recognized that when you have bought some machinery, we will give you the credit fully, but there will be some kind of depreciation. So depreciation rate under Income Tax Act and the Companies Act is all different. So they've said that we will give a standard rate of 5% per quarter for any machinery, any capital goods, not only machinery, any kind of capital goods on which you claim the input tax credit, claim it. But when you sell it, you have to reduce the depreciation and then do a comparison of whichever is higher, whether the ITC after depreciation is higher or the GST on the sale value is higher, whichever is higher, you will pay it. Okay. So input tax credit taken on the machine is this much. Then we will go for claiming reversing of depreciation, which is called as ITC to be reversed at 5% per quarter as per section 18. Now, for the when did the machine was purchased? In the month of July. Be very attentive here. The machinery was purchased on 6th of July 2017. So how many quarters are there in 17, 18? July, full July, August, September is one quarter. October, November, December is one quarter. And Jan, Feb, March is one quarter. Okay, so 3 quarters on 1,80,000 input tax credit into 3 quarters at 5% per quarter. Makes it as 27,000 rupees. So for 17-18, it is 27,000 rupees, and 18-19, because I sold it on 18th October. So April, May, June, one quarter, July, August, September, and October, November, December is also to be considered as a quarter, because part of the quarter is also considered as a full quarter. Even though in the quarter 90 days are there, but I've utilized only for 18 days, still you will get the full benefit. So for 17-18, 3 quarters, and for 18-19 also we have 3 quarters. So 27,000, again the same calculation. So this is the ITC to be reversed. Sum total of this is 54,000. So we have net ITC after reversal is 1,26,000 rupees. 1,80,000 minus 54,000 makes it as 1,26,000 rupees. Now this or tax on the transaction value, which is 6 lakhs into 18%, which is 1,08,000. So just don't pay 1,08,000. Compare these two. Compare A and B. Whichever amount of GST payable on disposal is higher of A or B, which is A. So the GST payable is 1,26,000 rupees. Okay. The amount payable on the transaction value or the input tax credit, whichever is higher. In this case, ITC is higher than the GST payable. So 1,26,000 is the GST which is payable. Here. Correct, Akashni, your theory answer is correct. Yes, Karthik, what is your doubt in this concept? What is the question here? Karthik and everybody else, have you understood this concept of section 18? So for the calculation of tax to be reversed on the supply of capital goods and plant and machinery, if there is inconsistency in the values as per Rule 40 and Rule 44, SIR told us to take higher of them, referring to second point on page number 6.57. But there it is written that the value ascertained as per Rule 44 is compared with the output tax payable on such goods, and higher of them is paid by the person. Correct, higher of them is paid by the person. So I'm very confused with respect to this, that how the tax is to be paid under section 1816 shall be calculated, whether as per rule 40 or 44, and if values ascertained by both are inconsistent, then where it is written that such value we will consider. So section 18 itself gives you this, Karthik, that section 18 says whichever is higher has to be paid. So we will reverse. I will read the section 18 for your convenience, so it can be clear over here. In case of supply of capital goods or plant and machinery, section 18, subsection 6. In case of supply of capital goods or plant and machinery on which input tax credit has been taken, the registered person shall pay an amount equal to the input tax credit taken on the said capital goods or plant and machinery, reduced by such percentage points as may be prescribed, or the tax on the transaction value of such capital goods or the plant and machinery, whichever is higher. So they're clearly given under 18.6. Please read through 18.6. You will find the answer that whichever is higher has to be considered. 5% per quarter on ITC applied earlier. Yes, 5% per quarter on ITC, what we have claimed earlier. This depreciation is not for the machine, but for the ITC. Yes, for the ITC, because you have claimed ITC, so you will reverse the ITC itself. So the higher is returned for the value as per section 15, and the ITC availed is reduced by the points. That is written in section 18. Yes, it is written in section 18. Any doubts in this? Higher is 1,80,000. No, it's 1,08,000. So either 1,08,000 or 1,26,000, whichever is higher, which is 1,26,000. So 1,26,000 has to be paid. Rule 44. Okay, so you are asking me on Rule 44. Rule 44.6 says that follow what is there in section 18 subsection 6 and calculate separately for CGST, SGST and IGST. That is what Rule 44.6 says. Mr. Prabhas Jain and Mr. Karthik Gupta, don't get confused with what is mentioned in Rule 44.6. Rule 44.6, I will read out for you. The amount of input tax credit for the purpose of 18.6 relating to capital goods shall be determined in the same manner as specified in Subrule 1B. Okay, Subrule 1B, what is mentioned that you have to apply, and the amount shall be determined separately for input tax credit of central tax, state tax, unitary tax, and integrated tax. That's all it says. And use the same thing what is there mentioned in Rule 1, which is useful life in months shall be computed on pro rata basis, taking the useful life as 5 years. Okay, so if we take an asset which is useful life is 5 years, which means each year how much is it utilized? Each year is 20%. Karthik, your question on how are you computing 5 years? Asset useful life, they've said is we will give you a useful life of 5 years. So take the useful life as 5 years. So each year, how much will be the depreciation? 100 divided by 5 is 20. So each year 20 divided by per quarter is 5%. 5 4 is 20. So that's the reason it cuts at 5% per quarter. Sir, ITC reversal calculation on sale and switching to composition levy are same or different? Yeah, there also it's 5% per quarter. That is also same as what we have done the calculation here. Okay, let's get into question number 21. This is excluded from the syllabus because rule 42 and 43 is not there, but I'm just giving you a simple example which you don't have to do complicated rule 42 and 43, simple rule 42 and 43, seeing that how it is calculated. So I will not wait for answers. I will start the question and give the answer in a serial manner. A garment factory receives a government order for making uniforms for a commando unit. Okay, this supply is exempt from tax because certain supplies from to commando unit is exempted. So this supply is exempted. This supply is exempt from tax under a special notification. The fabric is separately procured for the supply, but thread and needle. Now the fabric what is required for this supply to commando unit is separately purchased and separately sold. But there are some common materials like the thread, lining material, the some common consumables which go. Those are lining material for the collars are the ones which are used for other taxable products, which means thread and lining material is a common product, but fabric is specifically bought for this unit. The turnover of the other products of the factory and exempted uniforms in July is so much. The turnover of taxable goods is 4 crores and turnover of exempted uniforms is 1 crores. Now the ITC on thread and lining materials is 5,000 and 15,000 respectively, which means the ITC on threads is 5,000 and the ITC on the lining materials is 15,000. Now calculate the eligible ITC on the thread. So ITC I know is 5,000 and 15,000, 20,000. So can I claim full 20,000? No, I cannot claim because I'm using these materials for exempted goods. So on 15,000, I will not get the credit because this 15,000, I'm using it for exempted uniforms itself. But 5,000 rupees, I'm using partly for exempted, partly for taxable. So I have to reverse it proportionately. That is what rule 42 will tell you. So you have to understand the importance of this. Thread and lining materials are inputs which are used for making taxable as well as exempted goods. Okay, so thread and lining materials both. Not I was thinking that 15, but no, it is for lining, and thread and lining both are used for making exempted goods. Fine. Therefore, credit on such items will be apportioned and credit attributable to exempt supplies will be added to the output tax liability in terms of rule 43. Credit attributable on exempt supplies is how much? Common credit into exempt turnover divided by total turnover. Now, what is this calculation? Common credit. What is this common credit? 5,000 plus 15,000, which is 20,000. Now, what is my exempt turnover? Exempt turnover they mentioned this month is 1 crore. And total turnover is how much? 1 crore plus 4 crores. Correct? So I will apportion this 20,000 input tax credit in this proportion. So 20,000 into 1 crore divided by 5 crores makes it as 4,000. So 4,000 of the credit is ineligible. Eligible credit is excluding what is ineligible. That is this 20,000 minus 4,000. So 16,000 is my eligible input tax credit. It is not very complicated. Those simple questions like this could also be asked. Karthik, 44.1 is what I've done. So that separately is not required. We'll take it off at the end if time permits. But what I've considered is absolutely correct. Mohammed Tawfiq, composition dealer paid only 1%. Then how they calculate capital goods sale? So on capital goods sale, they will also have to pay the. They will not, for them it will not apply, because on capital goods sale, whatever sales they make, on that also they will pay 1% only, because input tax credit they cannot claim. A composition person cannot claim input tax credit, so he will not claim input tax credit when he sells it. There will not be any comparison between ITC and output, because ITC will be zero only. On the sale of the capital goods, any transaction, any turnover, composition taxpayer, what we have said, it is 1%. So a composition taxpayer who sells capital goods also will be liable to pay tax at 1%. Understood this? Next, go to question number 22. Subbalakshmi Foods is engaged in supplying restaurant services in Maharashtra. In the preceding financial year, it has a turnover of 140 lakhs from the restaurant service. Now you are requested to advise Subbalakshmi Foods whether it is advisable for composition scheme in the current year, assuming that in the current financial year, his turnover is expected to be 130 lakhs from supply of restaurant services and 10 lakhs from supply of farm labor in the said state. So he's doing restaurant services. Now he wants to additional service of supply of farm labor in this state. Further, he also expects to earn some bank interest of 20 lakhs from the fixed deposit. So would you advise doing composition scheme under this year? Also compute the estimate tax payable by Subbalakshmi Food in the current financial year. So this is the question. Okay. What do you feel in this question? What is to be done? 20 lakhs interest is not relevant here. Yes, 20 lakhs interest is not relevant for payment, but it is relevant for considering the turnover. Okay, so let's get into the answer for this. Question number 22. First is whether it is eligible for composition. Provision of farm labor is exempt from GST. Yes, it is exempt, but the question is not whether it is exempted or not exempted. A composition dealer is not permitted to do any supply of service. Like in the yesterday's past questions when we were discussing, we saw that some questions had a reference to provision of services. We said that whether it's permitted or not permitted. So here also the question is whether he's permitted to do supply of service. Even if it is exempt service, is he permitted or no? In the composition scheme, the exemption, this thing relaxation in terms of provisional services per marginal level is permitted. Now, what is that marginal is what we have to see. What is the marginal service permitted is 10% of the turnover in the preceding year or 5 lakhs, whichever is higher. Now, what is his turnover in the preceding year, not the current year? Because current year's turnover you'll get at the year end. So, how much is permitted has to be decided based on previous year's turnover. Previous year's turnover is how much? 140 lakhs. Correct? So 140 lakhs into 10% makes it 14 lakhs or 5 lakhs, whichever is higher. Which is higher? Which is higher? 14 lakhs is higher. So he is permitted to do services up to 14 lakhs. So services eligible is up to 14 lakhs. In this case, he's done service of how much? 10 lakhs. So he is permitted. Correct? Interest earned on FD need not be considered. Correct? So rate of composition for restaurant services how much? 5%. So he has to pay GST of how much? He has to pay GST on 130 lakhs and 10 lakhs, which is 140 lakhs. On that, he has to pay GST at 2.5% CGST, 2.5% SGST. Okay. So total GST of 7 lakhs has to be paid. Sir, so many people are saying supply of farm labor is exempted. Yes, it is exempted. But if you are a composition dealer, then you will pay GST on the total turnover, not on exempt turnover, on the total turnover. And here it's a restaurant service provider. So what is this service? 130 lakhs of restaurant services and 10 lakhs of supply of farm labor. He is falling under composition. So he will have to pay GST at 2.5%, 2.5%, which is GST at 5% on the supply of farm labor as well. Okay, so he has to pay GST of 7 lakh rupees on this. Interest is also exempt, farm labor is also exempted. Why only interest we have taken off? Because there is a specific provision which says that interest earned on deposits is to be excluded. That's why we are excluding only interest, but any other exempt supply need not be excluded. It has to be added and GST has to be paid. Service is also permitted up to 50 lakhs. No, madam. Service is not up to permitted up to 50 lakhs. It is a separate thing of 50 lakhs given to service provider. If only service provider is there, okay, then he can do services up to 50 lakhs and go under separate composition scheme. That is 10(2)(a). But a person who is supplying goods or who's under normal composition scheme, he can do other services only up to 5% or 5 lakhs, whichever is higher. Okay. Clear with this? Main here we have to see whether marginal scheme is available. If it is available, then he's permitted to continue composition. If that is not available, then he has to switch out from composition and opt for regular taxation. Okay. So one doubt, marginal services are for good supplier, but in this case, they are supplying restaurant services. Even so 10(1), the main composition is for 3 categories: for a trader, manufacturer, and only one service provider, which is restaurant service provider. So this restaurant service provider, even though they are providing services, they are covered under the 10(1) composition scheme. Now they also cannot do any services other than restaurant services up to the marginal limit. So even though restaurant service providers are service providers, so marginal scheme, the composition scheme is available for 3 categories: traders, manufacturers, and only one category, which is restaurant service provider. Okay. Still margin scheme will apply. Yes, Rekha, your question also valid, but Composition scheme was there only for restaurant service provider. He was there under composition last year. So this year to continue, he will have to see this marginal limit. Okay, let's get into question number 23. Bansal and Chandok, 10.1 and 10.2a had made some confusion. Yes, so you have to be very clear. 10.1 is separate, 10.2a is separate. Bansal and Chandok started a partnership firm of chartered accountants in Jaipur on 1st April 2021. Now, we had spoken on composition scheme for goods. Here we are talking on composition scheme for services. The firm specializes in providing audit services to banks in Rajasthan. It provided the following details of its turnover. Okay, so they are a chartered accountant firm in Rajasthan and they are providing services to banks in Rajasthan. So intrastate supply. So intrastate is very important even for 10-2A service providers. Any supply outside the state, interstate supply of services is not permitted. Only intrastate supply they have to do. So in this case, they are doing only in Rajasthan, so they are permitted. Now it provided the following details of its turnover. April to June, 10 lakhs is the turnover. July to September, 20 lakhs. It crossed the threshold limit of 20 lakhs on 1st August 2021. Bansal and Chandok wishes to opt for taxation at composition rate under notification number 2 2019. Earlier it was notification, now it is 10-2A. They want to opt for composition scheme. Examine whether the firm is eligible for the scheme. If they are eligible, then determine the tax payable by it in quarters April to June and July to September. So first we have to determine whether it is eligible for composition. If we say yes, it is eligible, then how much is the tax payable? Question number 23. 23, yes. Firstly, whether it is eligible for composition. Yes, it is eligible for composition because its turnover for the year is up to 50 lakh rupees. So 10 lakhs plus 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, up to 50 lakh rupees of your turnover, you can opt for composition. So their turnover is below 50 lakhs. So they can opt for composition firstly. Yes, even though 20 lakhs is crossed, that doesn't matter because 20 lakhs is for normal registration, but 50 lakhs is the limit up to which you can opt for composition. So you can opt for composition. So they have taken a composition scheme. Now, when did they crossed the limit of 20 lakhs on 1st August? That is important because up to 20 lakhs, there is no GST. After 20 lakhs, only GST registration will come. Now they have not registered. You have to also tell them when they have to register and determine the tax payable. Okay, this is very important. Note this down. First, April to June, what is the tax payable? Nil, because up to April to June, they didn't touch the 20 lakh limits, even though they were eligible for composition, but they have not touched the 20 lakh rupees. So why should they pay tax? No GST payable from April to June. Then July to September, the second quarter, they have touched 20 lakhs on 1st August, which means up to the total limit is 20 lakhs, 10 lakhs got exhausted in April to June. Then balance on the balance 10 lakhs, it has to get exhausted, only then they have to pay. So for turnover for July to September is 20 lakhs. How much is the threshold I have? I have a balance threshold of 10 lakhs. I will reduce the 10 lakhs and on the balance, I will pay GST on a composition rate at 6%. So on the 10 lakhs, I will pay 60,000 rupees. So this is the way how I will pay the tax. Another way of computing it is, what is my total turnover till now? 30 lakhs. Whatever is the turnover from the beginning of the year till I touch the threshold, I don't have to consider. So from the beginning of the year till the threshold limit, which is 20 lakhs, on that, I don't have to pay GST. How much is the balance? Balance turnover of 10 lakhs. On 10 lakhs, how much should I pay? 6%. I will pay 6% on that, which is 30,000 CGST, 30,000 SGST. Clear? What is this 1.8 lakhs? They are eligible, and how much is the tax payable? That is also important. You don't have to pay tax on full 30 lakhs at 6%. They will get a benefit of the threshold limit for registration, which is 20 lakhs. So they will get that threshold only on the balance. They have to pay GST. Good. Clear? Hmm. So in question number 23, are they only tax liable for tax on the amount exceeding 20 lakhs? Yes, they are only liable to tax on the amount exceeding 20 lakhs. So tax is payable only on the excess of turnover to the extent of threshold limit. Tax is not payable on it. Yes, it is not payable. That is clear. Tax calculation not clear. I've given you two methods, Ms. Rekha. Either of the methods you can consider. See, up to 20 lakh rupees, no GST is payable. So April to June, my turnover was 10 lakhs, no GST payable. July to September, I've touched 10 lakhs, another 10 lakhs on that not payable. So up to 20 lakhs not payable. After I cross 20 lakhs, which is 20 lakhs is my sales in the next quarter. Out of this 10 lakhs balance I have of the threshold, I will take off the 10 lakhs, balance 10. On that, I will pay GST. So only once you cross 20 lakhs, what is your turnover? On that, you will pay composition tax. Okay. If threshold limit is only 20 lakhs, then what is the use of composition scheme liable for 50 lakhs, sir? It is still important because if you are not taken registration, then this limit will apply. But on a year, this you will not get it. They started a partnership form on 1st April. That's why when you start a new business, then you will be eligible to claim this benefit of 20 lakhs. You will not be eligible to claim this benefit of 20 lakhs year on year. Okay, Ms. Pooja, this 50 lakhs is having some relevance. So that first, if you're registering, then from the date of registering till the threshold, you will not have to pay. But next year on the full value, you have to pay the GST. So each point is relevant here. They've started business on 1st April. Had they not started, then I would not given them the 20 lakhs exemption. Okay, so 20 lakhs exemption is to a person to register. So once they have not registered, then they can claim the 20 lakhs and after that they can pay. But next year they will pay on the whole value. Clear, Ms. Pooja? We'll take a break of 5 minutes because we have already taken 15 minutes break, not more than 5 minutes. 7:45 we'll come back. 5 minutes break. हेलो, नहीं ब्रेक बोला था 2 मिनट 5 मिनट के लिए. Okay. So people who have doubt on this aspect, Mr. Karthik Gupta, please read the explanation here. The explanation says, for the purpose of determining the tax payable by a person under this section, the expression turnover in a state or turnover in a union territory shall not include the value of following supplies. Supplies from the first day of April of a financial year up to the date when such person becomes liable for registration under this act. So when does a person become exempt for liable for registration? Once he touches 20 lakhs. So supplies from the first day of April of the financial year up to the date when such person becomes liable for registration is need not be considered. That's the reason first time 20 lakhs is not to be considered. So and exempt supply of services provided by way of extending deposits, loans, and advances insofar as the consideration is represented by way of interest or discount is not considered. So that's the reason up to a first time in registered person, we will not consider turnover up to 20 lakhs. Back again, Ms. Pooja, welcome back. A new business starting first year, 15 lakh sales, unregistered in GST, and second year, 5 lakh sales. Do he will get registration GST in second year, or he can claim 20 lakh exemption year by year? Good question. First year, 15 lakhs exempted, no GST registration. Second year, 5 lakhs. So we will not consider first year and second year total put together. Each year is separate. Second year is also less than 20 lakhs. So no GST registration required. Year on year required. Okay, year on year it has to be considered, not on a cumulative basis. Good, excellent, good. You have understanding good, Mr. Karthik. We'll go to the next question. Question number 24. Mr. Hiralal and Sons, registered in Karnataka, has opted to avail the benefits of composition scheme. Now it has furnished the following details of tax period ended on 30th June, taxable turnover of goods within the state, exempted turnover of goods within the state. This is its total turnover. Using the above information, calculate tax to be paid by the firm for the tax period ended on 30th June in the following independent situation. If Mr. Hirala and Sons is a manufacturer, and what if Mr. Hirala and Sons is a trader? Come on, I need quick answers here. If they are dealing only in goods, then their threshold limit would be 40 lakhs. Yes, that is correct. If they are dealing in goods, then their threshold limit would be 40 lakhs. Ms. Pooja, you're right. Come on, this is a very simple question. What is the answer for this? If he's a manufacturer, it is 32,000, and if it's a trader, then it is 15,000. That is one answer what I'm getting. Another answer what I'm getting is same 15,000 and 32,000. 15,000 each at 1% each on 15 lakhs if manufacturer. 15,000 each at 1% each. No, 15,000 and 15,000. So you're saying it is 30,000. Miss Kushi Kankari, Miss Somesh, you're saying 30,000 is payable. Prabhas Jain, you're saying 1,50,000. GST rate you have increased, is it? And you're saying if he's a trader, it is 75,000. Oh my God. If it's a manufacturer, 32,000. And if it's a trader, 16,000. 50% discount for a trader, is it? Why so? Some person is saying 15 and 15, 30,000. 60,000 would be paid as tax by Messrs. Hiralal and Sons if he's a manufacturer. Oof, 1,60,000. How did you get 1,60,000? Prabhas Jain, your answer is now correct. Still wrong. Manufacturer 32,000, and if it's a trader 16,000, your answer is still wrong. Karthik Gupta, 16,000 CGST, 16,000 SGST, 7,500 CGST, 7,500 SGST. That's right. Ms. Neha Sharma, please tell me how did you get 1,60,000 as an answer? Too much of fluctuation. Khushi Kansari, 7,500 each. Both in case of a manufacturer and trader. Somesh Karant, 1% for manufacturer, also 1% for trader on 15 lakhs. Okay. So you were not attentive, most of you, when I had taken this session on composition scheme. That is clearly evidenced now. Because the turnover for a manufacturer and turnover for a trader is different. That's the reason I have given this question. Please see here. If Miraral and Sons is a manufacturer, then tax is to be paid at 1% of the turnover in the state, which is total turnover. Total turnover is hot. Total turnover is taxable and exempted turnover. So if you're a manufacturer, you have to pay GST on total turnover. On 32 lakhs, you will pay 1%, which is 32,000, 16,000 CGST and 16,000 SGST. And if you're a trader, then you have to pay tax at 1% on the taxable supplies only. So you have to pay tax 1% on the taxable supplies, which is 15 lakhs into 1%, 15,000, 7,500 CGST, 7,500 SGST. Okay. No 5%, Ms. Neha Sharma. It is not 5%. If you're a manufacturer or a trader, it is 1%. 5% is only for a restaurant service provider. Clear? Sushil Kumar, if manufacturer 1,15,000 into 2%, where do you get 2% GST rate? It is 0.5% and 0.5%. So it is 1% only. For both the manufacturer and the trader, the GST rate is 1% for a composition dealer. not 2%. 1%, but on what value you take 1% is different. For a manufacturer, 1% is of the total turnover. For a trader, it is 1% of the taxable turnover. Clear? $3.43. Okay, Ms. Rekha, what are you saying? Please take your book and read 3.43. 3.43. 3.43 you see again. What is for manufacturer? It is 0.5% of the turnover, and for any other supply, it is 0.5% of turnover of taxable supply of goods and services of taxable supplies. So only taxable supplies for trader, and for a manufacturer, it is on whole turnover. So there is a difference. See the note 22, 23, 24, 22, 23, it says 1%, 1%, effective rate is 1%. But on what turnover they have clearly mentioned there, 0.5% of the turnover in the state for a manufacturer and 0.5% of the turnover of taxable supplies. So there is two different terms which is used. So be careful. For a manufacturer, it is total turnover. For a trader, it is only taxable turnover. Okay. Exempt supply is also considered for a manufacturer. Yes, exempt supply is also considered for a manufacturer. Clear? Twenty-fifth, exempted supply we have already considered, but let us revamp this. Question number 25. I'll directly go to the answer because in the answer itself you'll see all the parts are highlighted here. Receipt from supply of farm labor. Now Aggregate Limited provides these services. Now which is exempted and which is taxable? It is receipt from supply of farm labor is exempted. Sir, why exemption sales are taxable for manufacturer? Because of the term what they've used. They've used the term as turnover, which is total turnover for a manufacturer, and they've used the term taxable turnover for a trader. So that's how it is. Okay. Receipt from supply of farm labor is exempted. Supply of seed testing. Charges for seed testing is also exempted. Charges for soil testing of farmland, seed testing and soil testing, both are exempted. Charges for warehousing of potato chips. Potato chips is not agriculture produced. So, सर अगर ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग सेशन नहीं होता तो हमारा क्या होता? Thanks to ICI, yes, thanks to ICI for providing this opportunity and taking a special session like this for you. Warehousing of potato chips are not agriculture produce, so on warehousing of potato chips, GST is payable. Commission received on sale of wheat is exempted. Charges for training of farmers on use of new pesticides and fertilizers developed through scientific research is again exempted. Renting of vacant land to stud farm, घोड़े को देते हैं. Anything to do with any animal is exempted, but once a stud farm comes in, which is anything to do with horse, it will be taxable. So here it will be taxable. Leasing of vacant land to cattle farm. Cattle farm के लिए when you do leasing renting, it is exempted, but stud farm is taxable. Warehousing of rice is specifically exempted. Charges for warehousing of cotton fabrics is taxable. Okay. Then retail packaging and labeling of fruits and vegetables. Retail packaging generally we said is taxable, but important here is retail packing and labeling of fruits and vegetables is specifically exempted. A retail packing of cereals, pulses, all of that will be taxable, but retail packing and labeling of fruits and vegetables is still exempted. Charges for warehousing of minor forest produce is also exempted. Then charges for warehousing of spices is also exempted. That's how you get the total value of taxable supply. Any doubts in this? Since we have already done this, I had to go like a jet lag speed over here. But any doubts in this exemption we have already covered? Thank you, Sushil Kumar. Any doubts in this exemption? I think this is very clear, no? Okay. So exemption covered. This question of Vivita and company also we had covered. Then we'll go to question number 27. 25, 26 we had done during the first break. Now question number 27. Messrs. PQR properties which are registered under GST as taxable person is engaged in the business of renting various immovable properties which is owned by it. It's the owner of various immovable properties. During the month ending on 31st March 2021, it collected a rent of 5 lakh rupees. Now it collected a rent of 5 lakh rupees for 1 month. Now this month includes rent from the following things. What all it includes? Vacant land used for agriculture, 50,000. Land used for Appu Circus. Houses let out to individuals for residential purpose. Building let to Elegant Hotel. Vacant land given to ABC Limited for construction of building at a later stage to be used for furtherance of business or commerce, 40,000. Then premises led to a temple trust, 40,000. Premises to a coaching center, 80,000. Building led to a hospital, 80,000. Compute the amount of GST payable by the firm, assuming the rent is exclusive of GST. If any applicable in each case, rate of GST is 18%. Make suitable assumptions. तो हम लोगों को ऐसा क्वेश्चन मिल जाए, I would simply go and start writing one vacant land 50,000, use of Oppo house circus 80,000, taxable, not taxable. But we have to play smart. Okay, we have to play smart over here. So we will do reverse calculation. Because they have given that he is collecting a rent of 5 lakhs, we will take that as a base and then remove off all those rents which is not taxable. So that we know 5 lakhs में तो पूरा taxable रहेगा, उसमें से exemption निकाल देंगे तो balance taxable मिल जाएगा. So we don't have to go and calculate whether all of this totals from 1 to 8, is it 5 lakhs or no? That we don't have to calculate. We'll take the total rent. From that, we'll remove whatever is exempted. Clear? So that we will save time also and we will arrive at the answer also in a faster manner. Clear? Mr. PQR properties, total rent कितना है? 5 lakhs. Total rent is 5 lakhs. Now from this rent, we will reduce whatever is exempted. Rent from vacant land use of our agriculture is exempted. Yes, exempted है तो उसको कम करेंगे. Okay. Second point, rent from land use for Appu Circus. Appu Circus को मैंने दिया है. First is vacant land दिया है, is exempted. ठीक है, exempted है तो minus करूंगा because whatever is exempted I have to remove. Then rent from land used for Appu Circus. मैं Appu Circus को देता हूँ. Circus is a good thing, no? Development of circus, using of animals. So it should be exempt or not exempt? Tell me. Pritesh Jain is saying Appu Circus will give no exemption. Such a mean boy, no? Circus, you go and enjoy, and if they're using, why should you charge GST? You're saying no exempted. What are others saying? Circus not exempt. Land given to circus is taxable, not exempt. Sir, entry tickets, permission, exemption fee, not on land vacant, not vacant. Right. Everybody is saying no emotions have to be played here. Don't get carried away with emotions, healthcare and things like that. They will complicate a lot of things. Don't get carried away with emotions. What is law has to be there. So here it is liable to GST. So I will tell it as taxable. Third, properties lent for residential purposes. Residential purposes, if I give, is it exempted or taxable? Of course, because everybody is of the consent that it is taxable. Property lent for residential purposes, everybody will give their consent that this is exempted. So, what is the value? I will add back 70,000. Building lent to hotel. Now, hotel, is it taxable or no? When I give the same building for residential purpose, you are saying exempt. Then building to hotel, will it be taxable or no? Priyanshi Srivastava, very good. You have opened up now. Yes, renting for residential purposes is exempted. Now, building let to hotel, is it taxable or exempt? Building let to hotel is taxable. Very good. So, building let to hotel, same hotel level, anything which you give for commercial purpose is liable for GST. So, it is taxable. Then, vacant land given on lease for construction of a building, which will later stage be used for furtherance of business. Okay. So, anything which we use for furtherance of business, what will happen? Mention your point number and then tell me if it is taxable or exempted. We are on point number 5. Point number 5, is it taxable or exempt? Priyanshi Srivastava, it is exempt. Why is it exempt? Mr. Hitesh Jain, it is taxable. Why is it taxable? Exempt because it is not complete till the further used for commercial purposes. Yes. So till now, I am giving only a vacant land which is not used for business purposes. So it is not commercial for now. So it is exempted. That is one view. Another view is taxable as further ITC will be available. Another view is because it is used for furtherance of business. So many multiple views, but the final answer for point number 5 is it is liable to GST, no exemption. Only exemption you get is what is there in the exemption notification, which is you give a land for residential purposes, you give a land for agriculture purposes, only that is exempted. If you give to any purpose for construction, अभी तो तुम कंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए दे रहे हो लेकिन बाद में दे विल यूज फॉर बिजनेस प्रेजेंटली दे आर स्टिल बिल्डिंग तो क्या हुआ डोंट गेट इमोशनली अटैच्ड इवन दो यू आर गिविंग फॉर बिल्डिंग विच दे विल बिल्ड लेटर ऑन तब तक आपको एग्जेम्पशन नहीं मिलेगा ये टैक्स लगेगा 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 बिकॉज यूजिंग ऑफ बिल्डिंग फॉर कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ अ बिल्डिंग okay giving of a land which is used for construction of a building is taxable it is not exempted now sir it is not used for business still doesn't matter till if it's only to confuse you for construction of a building at later stage to be used for furtherance of business अब बाद में furtherance of business करो या आज furtherance of business करो I have given it to you and you are not falling under these exemption categories so it is taxable clear point number 6 Premises which is led to a religious body being temple trust. Come on now. Temple trust using for a charitable purpose. So why should I charge GST? So this is clearly exempted. Correct? Now similarly, coaching center also. Coaching center is education center, right? So this is also exempted then. Fifth point, Mohammed Tawfiq, in case residential means exempt, yes, residential purposes means it is exempted. Residential purpose, there is a clear exemption. So anything properties let for residential purpose is exempted. Come on, 6 and 7 you can answer together, no? 6, 7 and 8 also. Religious purpose, coaching center and hospital, all of this according to me is exempt, Baba. What do you say? 6, temple taxable as more than 9,999. Whoa, 9,999 concept you're remembering. Good. 6.1 taxable, no exemption is given respect of this. Charitable trust is also defined. Is this not coming in any category? Okay. You need more answers to proceed further. Not exempt because more than 10,000. Okay, 6, 7, 8 all are taxable according to Ms. Kushi. 6, 7 taxable, 8 is exempt according to Mr. Hitesh. Exempt, taxable, exempt as per Raghavan. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 answers, very less answers. 6 exempt, 7 taxable, 8 taxable, according to Mr. Sushil. According to Mr. Karthik, 7 taxable, 8 taxable, no provision for exemption on this. Priyanshi Srivastava, 8 is taxable. Okay. Premises let to a religious body being temple trust. Okay. Whenever I provide services to a temple trust, it is not exempted. Services provided to a temple trust, services rental provided on the vicinity of a temple trust is exempted. There that 10,000 rupees comes. So if the temple trust gives the chatram, okay, Kalyana Mantapam to anybody and charges 10,000, then up to 9,999, then it is exempt. Apart than that, it is taxable. But when I provide a premises to a temple trust, say even if it is 5,000 rupees, so in this case it is 40,000, so your 9,000 somehow matched there, and you're saying it is not exempt, it is taxable. But had it been 5,000, what would have been your answer? You will tell it is less than 9,999, so it is exempt. No, because that 9,999 is when this trust gives any services to an outsider. But in this case, I am giving a service to a temple trust. So it is not exempted, it is taxable. Don't get confused with that 9,000 with this 9,000. Okay, this there is no limit. You provide anything, even if you provide for 500 rupees of rental to a temple trust, you have to collect GST. It is taxable, it is not exempted. Clear? Then premises Premises led to a coaching center is also taxable. Everybody is in consent with this. But building led to a hospital is taxable or GSTable. Is it exempted or taxable? This is also taxable, no exemption. So here most of the people got confused. This is a danger zone. Any premises led to a religious body being temple trust is liable to GST and it is taxable. Okay, don't consider that 9,099 over here. That is when a temple trust rents out the premises to outsider, then that value will be relevant, not otherwise. Earlier you gave wrong answers. Yes, to confuse you, I gave you wrong answers. But you have to be confident with your answers. Okay? I think I said I never concluded that it is exempted. I think all of this three is exempted. Now you have to tell me whether it is exempted or taxable. So from the total rent, what I've removed off is what is exempted. Then if I remove that off, what is left out is what is taxable. So what is taxable is 3,80,000, 1,20,000 अमाउंट पेबल. हाँ ठीक है, इसके ऊपर जीएसटी पे कर देना आप 18%. On this 18%, 68,500. कौन 1,20,000 अमाउंट पेएबल बोल रहा है भाई? जीएसटी पेएबल इज 18% ऑन दिस 3,80,000 के ऊपर 18%. इधर ग्रॉसअप की जरूरत नहीं है बिकॉज दे हैव सेड दैट वी आर अज्यूमिंग दैट द रेंट इज exclusive of GST, so it is exclusive. 3,80,000 के ऊपर 18,000. Great. 9,999 was the good point over here. Don't mix up 9,999 with this. That is separate. This is separate. Clear? Question number 27. Shall we move ahead? Okay, let's go ahead with question number 28. Messrs. XYZ Company, a firm of chartered accountants, issued invoice for services rendered to Mr. A on 7th September, determining the time of supply in the following independent cases. Let's go with each case. XYZ Limited is a firm of chartered accountant which issues invoice for services on 7th September. Now we have to determine the time of supply in the following instance. When the first instance is provision of service was completed on the 1st of August and the payment was received on 28th September. So in this case, what is the time of supply? First question is very important. So please tell me what is the time of supply? 7th September, 7th September, 7th September. Somebody's saying 1st of August. Time of supply is 1st of August as the invoice was issued after 30 days. In this case, earlier of the following is taken: provision of service or receipt of payment. Very good. Invoice issued after due date 30 days from the supply of service. So date of provision of service is later than the date of supply. So 1st of August is time of supply. Very good, Karthik. Very good, Akash Neel. 7th September. Very few people have said 7th September. Someone is saying 28th September as invoice is not made within 30 days. So it goes to payment. Okay, that is 1 point. 1st August. Most of you are saying 1st August. The actual date, let us see what it is. The time of supply of services is the date of issue of invoice if the same is issued within 30 days. Clear? So if it is issued within 30 days, then that is fine. One minute. Yeah, now it's clear. The time of supply of services is the date of issue of invoice. If the invoice is issued within 30 days from the date of supply of service or the date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier, right? If you issue the invoice for the supply of service, आपने सप्लाई खत्म कर दिया है सर्विस का और आपने इनवॉइस टाइम पे रेज कर दिया है, देन इट इज डेट ऑफ इनवॉइस और रिसिप्ट ऑफ पेमेंट विचएवर इज अर्लियर. इन केस आप इनवॉइस ही लेट करते हो आफ्टर 30 days, then the time of supply is the date of provision of the service. Date of invoice relevant नहीं रहेगा. Date of provision of service or the receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Okay. So whichever is earlier हो जाएगा in case of invoice is issued late. In accordance with the aforesaid provisions, the time of supply in the 4 independent cases will be as follows. First August, since the invoice is not issued within 30 days. So since in this case I have not issued within 30 days, I'll have to see date of provision of service or date of payment, whichever is earlier. That is 1st August or 28th September, whichever is earlier. 1st of August is there. So be careful. Somebody has said that since invoice is not issued within time, so it will be date of payment. No, don't get confused. If invoice is not issued within time, then the time of supply will be the date of provision of service or receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Clear? Second question, the provision of services was completed on 14th August and the payment is received on 28th September. Same like first question, just that the provision of service is shifted from 1st August to 14th August. Invoice is issued within prescribed time. So earlier of issue or payment, whichever will be the time of supply, which is 28th September in this case. Karthik, you're theoretically correct, but practically you're wrong. The provision of services was complete on 14th August and invoice has to be issued within 30 days. Correct? So invoice is issued within 30 days. When is it issued? It is issued on 7th September. Raghavan, how are you saying 14th August? Yes, please check whether invoice is issued within time. 3rd August. Oh, third one. Second one. Invoice is issued within 30 days. Then it will be date of issue of invoice or receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Which is earlier in this case? 7th September. Yes. In second case, it is 7th September because invoice is issued within the time. Since the invoice is issued within 30 days of the supply of service and the payment is received after the issuance of invoice. So whichever is earlier, what is that? Whichever is earlier is 7th September. दिमाग थक गया है, ठीक है, तो फिर यहीं पे विराम देते हैं. विल स्टॉप एट दिस क्वेश्चन. अगर दिमाग थक गया तो फिर आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे. In case of 7th September, yes, 7th September or 20th September, whichever is earlier. There's a twisted thing. Generally, you see that the main will be the provision of service, but here in the main heading, it is issue of invoice. So be careful. Third one. Mr. A made the payment on 3rd August. However, provision of service remained to be incomplete. Payment of services was remaining to be completed at that point of time. What happens in this case? Provision of service तो हुआ ही नहीं है, but invoice raise कर चुके हैं हम 7 September को. Kushi Kankari, 7th September. In case of second one, yeah, you're right. In case of third thing, what is the answer? 3rd August. Miss Pooja is saying 3rd August. What are others saying? Good. तो एक और क्वेश्चन ले लेंगे कार्तिक. Date of receipt of service in recipient of books shall be the time of supply. But provision of service is not completed, no? Provision of service itself is not completed. Should we pay GST at all? 3rd August, since payment is earlier than invoice. Okay. Assuming Mr. A is entered in his books on 3rd August, yeah, that doesn't matter. The entering in his books doesn't matter. If you entering in books will matter when the date in the bank and date of entering is different. Here, there's no question of bank and things, so it will be date of payment is date of payment itself. Question number 23. Time of supply is 3rd August as invoice was issued after 30 days. After 30 days of what? Invoice was issued on 3rd August. Provision of service was not completed. So would you say, Akash Neil, that invoice is issued after 30 days or invoice is issued before provision of service? Invoice तो issue हो गया है. Time of supply is not ascertainable according to those issue of invoice rules. Invoice is issued, provision of service is not made, so time of supply cannot be attracted. There is no time of supply. Nothing like that doing. Time of supply में बोल दिया है 3rd of August, which is earlier of date of issue of invoice or date of receipt. इनवॉइस इशू करने के लिए टाइम है कि प्रोविजन ऑफ सर्विस करो. अगर पहले इशू कर दिया डजंट मैटर. डेट ऑफ इशू ऑफ इनवॉइस और रिसिप्ट ऑफ पेमेंट विच एवर इज अर्लियर. 3rd of August is earlier than 7th of September. So 3rd of August is the time of supply. Okay. 4th question. A made the payment of 15th September. However, provision of service is remaining unpaid. So our provision of service same like this. So provision of service was remaining to be completed at that point of time. लेकिन मैंने invoice raise कर दिया है 7 सितंबर को और मुझे पेमेंट 15 सितंबर को आ चुका है. In that case, what will be the date? Invoice is issued after 30 days of receipt of payment. Doesn't matter. With invoice is not linked to payment of receipt of payment. Mr. Akash Neil. Invoice is not linked to receipt of payment. Invoice is linked to provision of service. Within 30 days of provision of service, I have to raise an invoice, or I can raise it before that also. It is not linked to payment. If I got the payment, I should raise the invoice. Not necessary. I've raised the invoice, but I have received the payment later. Date of invoice will be relevant. Okay. So in case of example number 4, question number 4, the answer is 7th September, because 7th September or 15th September, whichever is earlier, that has to be considered. Which is 7th September, earlier of date of issue of invoice or the date of receipt of payment. Clear? Very clear, right? Any doubts here in time of supply? No doubts, right? So let's take one last question on time of supply. In case of 7 September, yes, everybody is giving the correct answer. Question number 29. Mr. Vansh and Vansh Trading Company, a registered supplier, is liable to pay GST under forward charge. He has furnished the following information. Goods were supplied on 3rd October. Invoice was issued on 5th October. Payment is received on 9th October. Determine the time of supply of goods for the purpose of payment of tax. Goods supplied on 3rd, invoice issued on 5th, and payment is received on 9th. Determine the time of supply. Question number 29, simple. Ninth of October, 5th of October, correct. Invoice is issued on 5th of October. So 5th of October is the time of supply. Invoice raised within the time prescribed, 5th of October. Correct, Karthik, correct. No, Karthik, Purnish. When you're in one flow, you should not continue that flow. Okay, each question is different, so speak carefully. Priyanshi Srivastava, 5th October says invoice was issued within 30 days of supply. Yeah, so easy, no? Once we have done question number 28, 29 becomes easy because see, it is continuous. 30 days, we are all fixed in our mind. So वहाँ पे 30 days था, यहाँ पे भी 30 days चिपका दो, है ना? हम लोगों को सर्विस के बारे में पता नहीं है, गुड्स के बारे में पता नहीं है, दोनों का खिचड़ी करके डाल दो, फिर बाद में जब मार्क्स मिलता है, then you tell no, the examiner didn't correct properly. सीए क्वेंसेस में सीए सिलेबस में क्या होता है, जानबूझ के रॉन्ग आंसर्स करके तो पासिंग परसेंटेज फिक्स करना पड़ता है, इसीलिए वो ऐसे कर देते हैं. दैट इज द जनरल कंप्लेंट वी हैव, राइट? एवरीबॉडी इज सेइंग 5th October except a few who have said it as 3rd of October. भाई साहब, 30 days from the date of provision of service is what we had said. Don't mix that 30 days of provision of services, so 30 days for goods also. Goods के केस में 30 days नहीं है, ठीक है? As per notification 66 of 2017, वो ठीक है. A registered person excluding composition supplier has to pay GST on the outward supply of goods at time of supply as specified under section 12(2)(a), which is date of invoice or the last date on which invoice is sought to be issued. Okay, what is the last date for issue of invoice? A registered person is required to issue a tax invoice before or at the time of removal of goods for supply to the recipient. Invoice कब raise करना चाहिए? In case of goods 30 days, 40 days, 60 days कुछ नहीं है. In case of goods, it is required to be issued a tax invoice before or at the time of removal of the goods. ठीक है? In the given case, when were the goods issued? They were supplied on 3rd October. तो मुझे इनवॉइस 3rd अक्टूबर को ही रेस करना चाहिए था. मैंने 5th अक्टूबर को रेस किया तो सब लोग मजे कर रहे कि हाँ 5th अक्टूबर इज अ टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई. नो, टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई इज 3rd of October. 5th अक्टूबर को रेस किया है, वो गलत किया है. In the case of the invoice for supply of goods shall have been issued on or before 3rd October. ठीक है? However, since the invoice has not been issued within the prescribed time, time of supply for the purpose of payment of tax will be the last date on which invoice is required to be issued. It is 3rd October itself. ठीक है? सर रिटर्न्स तो सेम जाएगा. हाँ, रिटर्न्स सेम जाएगा, सब ठीक है. लेकिन जब आपको टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई पूछा है तो आप टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई लिखिए ना. टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई इज 3rd of October. ओके, डोंट मिक्स सर्विसेज विद गुड्स. सर्विसेज के लिए 30 days, गुड्स के लिए नो 30 days. एंड डेट ऑफ रिसिप्ट ऑफ ये तो वैलिड नहीं है गुड्स के लिए. दिस इज क्लियर. तो 9th अक्टूबर पिक्चर में आएगा ही नहीं. बट आंखें बंद करिए, 5th अक्टूबर मत बोलिए. सी व्हेन शुड द इनवॉइस बी इश्यूड. ओके, 30 days and 60 days limit in what section? It is only for services. Please look into services. ठीक है. Question number 30 is a lengthier question. So 30 onwards we will take up in the next session. Any doubts till now, sir? Miss Pooja, I went with the earlier date, hence I choose 3rd October. Don't go with the earlier date. Go with the earlier date. No. Go with the earlier date also. When is the invoice to be issued? That is important. Don't go with the earlier date. That will also not be helpful. Okay, all clear? Shall we wrap up the session? So next session we have on Wednesday. We'll start from question number 30. Good night, Somesh. Good night, Miss Pooja. If payment made in advance in supply of goods and invoice issued, payment is made in advance in supply of goods and invoice issued after supply of goods, then supply is on supply of goods, date of supply of goods, not the date of payment, because payment will not be relevant. You made the payment, advance में payment आ गया, supply किया, invoice बाद में issue किया. So time of supply is the date of supply itself. Kartik Gupta, others are exhausted, so we will have to keep this as the last question. Ms. Shreya, your question is, in case of not furnishing IFF and PMT06 for the first month in QRMP, the interest on delayed payment of tax will be calculated on gross liability, and in case of furnishing IFF and not PMT for second month, the interest will be calculated on the net liability. Is it correct? And in case of furnishing IFF and not PMT for the second month, the interest will be on the net. No, it will always be on the gross liability itself, because IFF is only a provision to upload the invoices, not all invoices. So the interest will be on the gross liability itself in both the cases. So please, possible, Purnesh, Karthik, thank you very much. Good night. Have a good time. Ms. Pooja, your question is to give us some last minute tips and minute points to be noted while solving questions. See, minute points will come through practice and come through experience like this. So that's why I'm saying work out a lot of problems. Lot of problems like this, if you solve, then it will be really helpful. Take and work out a lot of problems so that small things which you cannot remember at the last moment can be understood by practice itself, because once you make a mistake, then you note it down, then you know, okay, these are the danger signals which you have to avoid it. So you will avoid that. But last minute tips would be that revise, prepare your notes and revise it thoroughly, and revise it in such a way that you will be able to remember it. So as and when you're reading now, note down on the important points and have your own notes instead of depending on another person's notes or the institute's notes. That is all good. But if you write it by yourself, you will remember it in a better manner. Okay. So can you help us with rule 44 confusion? I didn't understand the 44 confusion, Karthik. I've solved that 44.6. What else is the confusion? Please, please prepare a question and put it in the chat on the second next Wednesday session first thing. So we'll discuss on this rule 44 first, and then we will take it up. Okay. I didn't understand what is your question on rule 44. Rule 44.6, I had said that CGST, SGST, IGST separately you do it, which we have done in that question. So you can use that. Okay. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Yes, sir. Concluded.